Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Goodwill Tuesday. As you can see from the title, I escaped. So, yeah, I'm not supposed to drive, right? But let me explain myself. Let me explain my rationale. I had to go drop off my rent check, which is kind of at the end of my apartment complex. I had to check my mail, which I hadn't checked since I came home on Thursday. And it was, yeah, of course, all junk, right? Um, and I really needed to go deposit this little check that I got from something. And I needed to get more cash because all these people have been running errands for me and I've been giving out all my cash, right? So here's my rationale. The mall where my bank is literally almost across the street. I mean, I wouldn't cross the street because it's this huge highway, but it's kind of across the street. And in that same mall is Goodwill. So because I can rationalize probably anything, I went to Goodwill. So I'm going to show you what I found. So we're going to start with probably the most beautiful item I found. I hope I can really capture this because this is hard. Can you guys see that design? I'm going to get a little closer so you can see. First of all, it's pink and red. I don't think it's been washed off over time. I think this was actually intentional. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I've wanted for a while a vintage sorry, I'm looking at something to see if it's no, okay, it's not broken, it's just dirt. I've wanted something for iced tea because I drink iced tea like all summer, but I wanted something vintage because I love vintage stuff, right? So $2.99 at Goodwill plus whatever my discount was on this because today was Goodwill, today's senior day. I'm very happy with it. Now the next thing I got, this is funny, I didn't take the label off of it yet, but you can see I got it for $3.99. It's the Complete Book of Sewing. Now this is the one from back in 1996, and it's by that DK company. I remember that they used to do tons of like books on all kinds of stuff. This was originally $40, but it is literally every technique you can imagine. It explains like garment styles, like it shows you the difference between a sheath dress and all this other stuff, right? Really cool. Explains what all the tools are. I love collecting sewing books. They all put their own spin on everything. Like I have my vintage 1950s sewing book, which I just absolutely adore. That's by McCall's. And that's a great book because it shows you how to do 1950s style dresses. Like in there, it actually shows you how to put together a dress using a McCall's pattern. They recommend a pattern. I can't remember what the number was, but it's basically a shirtwaist dress. And then they show you how to put it together in the instructions of like 2 pages. And they talk about the steps, and they do a succession of order, which is the way I learned to sew. Like there's an order to the way you sew. Like you always do your darts and any of your pleats and stuff like that first. Then you do your major sewing, your side seams, stuff like that. And then you do like your attachment of bodice if it's a dress. And then you always finish up with sleeves. And then you have your finishing. Your finishings are always your hems on everything, your understitchings, stuff like that. So yeah, like that's the way I was taught. And the other book I have goes over that, which is cool. It does it from a 1950s style. This does it from a modern style. And then I have the Singer sewing book from the 80s, which does it completely from 80s style. In fact, it's really funny because that book talks about the new trend in serging. Because in the 80s, that's when we first started to see serger sewing machines, and we started making everything out of knit fabrics, whether we like them or not. And it's not a trend I really enjoy, but Now the other thing, which is in the thumbnail, is a vintage 1950s ironing board. And this particular ironing board, you notice I took a picture of the back of it. This design is such an amazing design. I don't know why they stopped doing this. Probably because it used too much metal. But this thing never gets jammed like the new ones. It's 100 times sturdier than any ironing machine I've had in the last 5 years. Since I've lived here, I've had 2 ironing boards. They've both broken. They both were the kind that, kind of like this where you open them on the bottom and you can change the height and everything. They both broke because they were cheap pieces of crap that were made, in China 2 years ago or whatever. Then I went to Walmart and spent almost $30 on the tabletop one, which is what I use for pressing out patterns and pattern envelopes. That one broke within like a week of having it. Like I can still use it, but the actual supports that you're supposed to put the bar against when it's up are broken. I just have to kind of lean them into where they used to be. There's nothing that snaps in. But it cost me $30. That's the thing that kills me. It was like $28 at Walmart, right? I got this for $6.99. It'll probably outlive me because it already outlived somebody, because it's very obviously to me from the late 50s, early 60s, right? I'm telling you, don't get me started. Now, the thing that I saved to last, because I know there will be a bit of a discussion about this, and I'm hoping that the comments will follow, and I'll be having fun tonight reading your comments. But I almost never look at the CDs because it's like, I don't know, I have a million CDs. Like, what do I need another CD for? And usually they're crap. They're not anything I really want anyway. Sometimes they're people I never heard of. It's very shocking how many Justin Bieber CDs you can find at Goodwill, because, yeah, the young girls that went through that phase are now adult women, and they're like, ooh, yeah, cringe, right? But I was just kind of perusing, and right on top of the kind of desk thing with all the CDs in it. Okay, so I just audibly heard a bunch of you go, "Aw," right? I know. Look, it's our movie. It's like every girl's movie. Every girl who likes to sew, this is your movie, right? What a great soundtrack, too. This has Suzanne Vega, In Excess, Psychedelic Furs. I mean, everybody's on this CD, and it's so great. I was listening to it in the car. I wanted to make sure it wasn't scratched or anything. It's in perfect condition. I got it for 99 cents. You can see I had to pull some of the label off of poor Ducky's face, right? I look at how much hair John Cryer has on comparison to John Cryer now, which is, yeah, kind of sad, but it happens to all of us, right? But I was listening to it in the car, and it holds up so well. Like, I could probably play this for like somebody younger, and they'd be like, oh, I like this. You know what I mean? Like, when you listen to it, the songs are really deep, and I don't know, they're just so great. And I used to have, I loved Ducky in this movie. If I had to choose between the two, it definitely would have been Ducky. But I had such a crush back then on Andrew McCarthy. And story time. When I lived in Los Angeles and I worked as a private chef, the person that I worked for, who was an actress, her name was Pia Zadora. Some of you probably remember her. She lived right in Beverly Hills. So she lived in Bel Air, actually, which is very ritzy. And I would have to go shopping all the time at the Whole Foods in Beverly Hills, because that's where she had an account. And I had to give them like this secret code number, and it would all be charged to her account. Anyway, I used to see celebrities there all the time. And when I say celebrities, I mean like people that I'm sure were very hip and popular at the time that I could care less about. But then people that were actually celebrities to me, and one of them was him. Andrew McCarthy used to shop in there. And first of all, I hate to tell you ladies, he's not tall. He's maybe, on a good day, 5'8", 5'7". And I used to see him, and keep in mind, this is 20 years ago, so I was thinner, younger, all of it, right? I was the better version of me back in those days. And I would be pushing my cart, getting whatever I needed to make dinner for Pia. And there would be Andrew McCarthy, and I would just smile at him, and he would smile back at me. And every time this happened, inside I'd be going, be cool, be cool, be cool. Because, like, part of me was still a 17-year-old girl that was like, ah, right? But he was always very nice, very cordial. And the other person I used to run into, and he was smooth as silk, was Michael York, who, if you guys don't remember him, he was a British actor who was very popular in the early 70s. So he did like Logan's Run, The Three Musketeers, the one that was made with Raquel Welch. And then he kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then he was brought back in the Austin Powers series, right? So he used to be there in there all the time. And this was during the Austin Power years. So he was pretty well known at that point. And this was so funny. He's so smooth. And I would see him, and I'd look at him, and I'd nod, and he'd go, hello, with that amazing deep British voice of his. And every time my knees would just go weak, I was just like, oh man, it's Michael York. But I used to see him literally every time I went to Whole Foods. I think he used to go shopping every day. But that it made me so happy because his cart was always full of, sorry, my eyes are really itchy today. His cart was full of like really good gourmet ingredients, which also makes me think, oh my God, Michael York can cook, right? Wow, my eyes are really itchy. Hold on, guys. Everybody's allergies are acting up, by the way, because it got warm out. So all of nature in South Jersey went, oh, it's spring. Let's throw out some pollen. And then it got cold again. So it kind of sucks. But anyway, so I drove today. I wasn't supposed to. I was fine. But I get why they say don't drive, because I did notice that my leg got a little numb feeling. I guess that's the right word, numb feeling when I was driving from pressing. So I get it. But I'm a bad girl. It's just the way I am. I'm going to be honest. I'm a bad girl, right? So until my next video, which I'm not sure what that's going to be, like, subscribe, please comment. Dying to hear, right? Dying to hear the comments on this. And stay safe. Stay well. Stay warm. Stay dry. Stay cool. Whatever you need to do. And thank you for coming by. And I'll see you in the next video.